Hi there crafters, Louise with you today. Thanks for checking out this Kitaholic Kits video. It is of course filled with lots of bright and yellow pieces. So I decided that I was going to go a little bit monochrome, and I wanted to have the rub-ons as a little bit of a feature because although I'd used them a couple of times this month, I hadn't really used them as often as I would have liked, so that's going to be my aim for today. Now, I have this photo and I think it's just a bit cute. It is Mr. Popeye and he is just lounging around on the end of the ironing board, and so I'm going to give it a bit of a monochrome feel, but one of my favourite ways to sort of use yellow is to give it a really black or dark base to work on. So I've pulled out the black gesso, and this just goes to show how long it's been since I've used the black gesso. I actually couldn't find it. It was safely stashed away from where it had been packed with some retreat stuff. So once I've found my black gesso, you can see that I'm just making a little bit of a mess and spreading some dark colour around. And this helps to separate that kind of white background from the rub-ons that I'm going to put on there later. Now, I loved, of course, the sunshine title, but it didn't really fit in the right spot. It kind of covered up a little bit of his hand and all that torn element I'd done at the bottom, but it definitely needed to be centered, so I kind of just went with it. I think the Thickers titles, they are really cute and really easy to work with. So great to be able to have the thought process taken out and making it really easy to actually just pop a title straight on a page. That's my favourite way to create. I did have a little bit of a trouble using these sort of summer beachy kind of layout elements this month, but using this monochrome palette was a really great way to sort of achieve that. You can see that I've used part of the frame, which is just a little bit rainbow, and then I'm going to use some of those little tags down there as well. So just creating some areas of interest around my photo cluster and then making sure that everything's stuck down. So I generally tend to work on this a little bit while my mixed media background is drying. So sometimes I'll put it aside. In this case, the gesso dried really quickly, so I didn't have to wait too long. By the time I'd made that cluster, it was all pretty much come together. And in hindsight, I probably could have done this more on a white background instead of this patterned paper background. The rub-ons do get lost. Particularly in the video, it's probably quite hard for you to see them. But I mean, I guess you can see what I'm trying to achieve here in terms of spreading those rub-ons around areas of that little bit of black gesso that's sort of floating around there. And I do this multiple times, pretty much just until I'm happy with how much is poking out from around that cluster. One of the great things about these 49er Market rub-ons is how easy they are to use. They go on super smooth, they're not too hard. Like, I don't know if anybody else remembers the rub-ons that we used to get. You had to like almost indent them into the counter underneath you. So the 49er Market rub-ons are really great. They're not too hard to use, and it certainly makes creating that little bit easier. All right, this actually got put aside and I couldn't quite work out what I was going to do next to help make this a little bit more cohesive, but I had cut out a cut file and I had this leftover piece of the black cardstock. So I thought that if I trimmed the edges of the patterned paper and mounted it then on the black cardstock, then that would definitely sort of make it a little bit more cohesive with that black gesso. And then remember the sort of gold sparkly paste that we got with last month's kit? I used that just with a spatula. And I think that ties in quite well in terms of bringing the black and the yellow all together. I couldn't go past some splatters, of course. I felt like it needed some splatters with that gesso-y background. And just to help with, again, a little bit more blending, I like my layouts to sort of have a quite a distinct border. I'm just going to use my black ink to ink the edges of that white. So this is definitely coming along much better. I did have a little bit of trouble with my sticking down, but essentially I got there in the end. It was just one of those days. A little bit of cardboard behind my photo, and I'm going to pop him on the page. I think this one is quite different. It's getting some mixed media supplies used, some of those pastes if you haven't used them from last month or even this month. Nice easy way to create a background, and going monochrome makes it nice and easy. All right, that's my share for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.